Hi everybody, this is the video for Basic Research Part 2 from the Amberton University Library and Learning Resource Center. Glad to have you along with us. I am Joe Pendleton, the director of the library. The library is, as we said in the first video, the best place to start your work on your class research project. If you have not yet watched Part 1 of this series, I highly recommend that you start there before you watch this part 2 video, because it may be confusing to you, since we are moving on to the bottom 3 steps in the process for building research through the process of making it like a dinner or a jigsaw puzzle. You're of course always welcome to pause the video to be able to read the information on all the slides, but I do recommend watching part 1 first. So let's get started. We have all of those borrowed pieces, the citations all together. We've got statistics and quotes and charts and graphs and other pieces that we've borrowed from other people, and we put them into a specific document to be able to use them. So for instance, here's the full text of one of the journals that we found, an article that we found in our database search in EBSCO from part 1. And if we decide we want to be able to use a quote or a graph or a chart from an article like this, we can borrow it. And we're going to talk about how to do that. It is called citing. It's not illegal. It's a complement to the other writer and to the other source researcher that you are borrowing from. When you find something you want to borrow, whatever it may be, a quote or a chart or a statistic, highlight it in the full text and copy it. Then paste that quote into your new document. If you quote this author directly, which means you don't change any of the wording, make sure that you put the quote itself in quotation marks. And that's what I'm going to do with this example as well. There's some other ways to do it, and we'd probably need to show you how to do that in the library, and we're happy to. Once you have decided on the pieces that you want to pull from this article, make sure you click the Cite button, which is right over here on the right hand side, the little yellow one I'm circling now, and copy the citation for the APA format. You see it highlighted right here. You will copy this and then put it into your new document. Put anything else that you borrowed, like quotations, statistics, charts, those kinds of things. Anything you borrowed from this article, put it on those pages that follow this citation. Then start a new page for each new article that you borrow things from. It makes it far simpler later on. So here's the thing that you're looking for, the citation format. Make sure it is APA. And here's an example of the doc that I'm talking about. Top of the page you have the citation in APA format, and underneath that you have the very first quote that I pulled, and since it's a direct quote, I didn't change any wording, I'm putting it in quotation marks, and this comes directly out of the article. It will help you and save you a lot of time later on. So from here you're just going to fold it in. It's just that simple. You take the borrowed data, the graphs, the statistics, the quotes, things that other people had written out of those articles we found in the databases, and connect it all together with your words to make logical sentences and phrases into the final result of your research paper, to prove your point, to explain your topic, or to compare it to another topic that you've chosen. You're going to string all of those pieces together. You're going to connect all the pieces you've borrowed together with your own words. So take the borrowed pieces and essentially assemble it like you might for a dinner, where you're making one course after another, or getting all of the recipe in the correct order. Now here's an example of how this works to put the pieces you borrow into your paper. On the left is a box that shows the highlighted section of the article that we found earlier in our EBSCO search. And I've highlighted the quote I want to use in my paper, which is on the right hand side of the page. All I need to do at this point is take that quote and directly copy it into the paper. Now it should not be in the red color, but it's still in black, and still double spaced, still of the same font and size, but it allows me to quote directly with the quotation points. I mention the author's name, and then gave him an in-text citation. We can help you with that in the library. But that's all you have to do to weave together the things that you borrow into the paper you've already started to write and connect the others together. Here, these blue boxes are pointing to beads in this bracelet, and the beads kind of represent the different parts of your research paper. And the blue boxes are your parts, what you have written and put in, starting with your topic information. Here's one for your first point, your second point, another viewpoint. Now, to follow that up, to complete the bracelet, you're going to put some other beads in that are the parts that you borrowed from other places. So after your topic information, you might insert a quote from an export. After your first point, you might put in a graph that supports your first point. And you continue to string these pieces together, whether they're borrowed pieces or your own words, to make a finished product. Remember, the boxes in yellow represent things that you have to tell the professor where they came from. Your professor wants to know what ingredients that you use, and you do that by making a reference list. All of those citations that you put into your document, remember, you start a new page for each new article that you're borrowing things from, needs to be organized on one page at the end of your paper, alphabetical order by the author last name. And notice the format. The entire page is double spaced. The second line of each entry, for instance, this particular entry is so long it has 2 lines. You indent the second line and any following lines by 1 inch from the left margin. At the top of the page, you write the word references, so the professor knows where all of your borrowed pieces came from. And this list is all the lists of the places you borrowed material from. One other resource for you that might come in very helpful is the Purdue OWL, which is the online writing lab at Purdue University. They are the folks that keep the rules for the APA format. And if you'll notice from these screen grabs, they have a style introduction, they have a sample paper that's available for you, and a way to be able to cite your source automatically in APA, which you can also copy into your new document. Here's the URL. You're welcome to use that anytime, or come by the library and let us help you in person with any of your problems on this research project. Thank you for watching this series. Look forward to helping you in the library.